This story happened to me about 3 years ago, during my sophomore year of college. My university was quite a distance from my hometown, about a 6-hour drive. I usually took the bus, but that summer, I had a part-time job and managed to save up enough to buy a used car. It wasn't anything fancy, just a reliable little sedan that got me from point A to point B when the fall semester ended. I was excited to drive home for winter break for the first time. The thought of cruising down the highway, listening to my own music, and stopping whenever I wanted felt like the ultimate freedom. I packed up my dorm room, loaded my bags into the trunk, and hit the road around noon. The first few hours were great. The weather was clear, traffic was light, and I was singing along to my favorite playlist. The sun began to set as I got into the more rural part of the drive. The landscape changed from bustling towns to long stretches of farmland and dense woods. Streetlights became few and far between, and soon, the only light came from my headlights cutting through the darkness. I was about 2 hours from home when it happened. I was on a 2-lane country road, surrounded by thick forest on both sides. Suddenly, my car's engine sputtered. The check engine light, which had been off all day, flickered on, and then stayed lit. My heart sank. The car lost power, and I coasted to the side of the road, the engine dying, with a final, defeated cough. I tried to restart it, but the engine just clicked. Nothing. I was stranded. My phone had only 1 bar of service, which wasn't enough to make a call or use the internet. I was in the middle of nowhere, with no houses in sight. The road was completely empty. For about 20 minutes, not a single car passed. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the chirping of crickets and the rustling of leaves in the wind. I started to feel a real sense of dread creeping in. Just as I was about to resign myself to a long, cold night in my car, a pair of headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. Relief washed over me. A large old pickup truck slowed down and pulled over right behind me. The engine rumbled loudly, a stark contrast to the earlier silence. 2 men got out. They were both big, dressed in flannel shirts and worn-out jeans. One was older, with a graying beard and a tired look in his eyes. The other was younger, maybe in his late 20s, with a lean, wiry build and a nervous energy about him. The older man walked up to my window. I rolled it down, just a crack. "Having some car trouble?" he asked, his voice a low, gravelly rumble. I explained that my car had just died, and my phone had no service. "Well, you're in luck," he said with a small, unconvincing smile. "We're mechanics. We've got a shop just a few miles down the road. We can give you a tow." At that moment, they seemed like saviors. I was so relieved that I didn't think twice. I thanked them profusely. The younger man went back to their truck and got some towing equipment, while the older one helped me put my car in neutral. As they were hooking up my car, I noticed something odd. The younger man kept glancing at me, then quickly looking away whenever I caught his eye. He seemed jittery and anxious, and he never said a word. The older man did all the talking, maintaining a friendly, almost overly cheerful demeanor that didn't quite match his weary expression. With my car hooked up, the older man told me to get in their truck. "It'll be warmer in here," he said. I hesitated for a second. My gut was telling me something was off, but what choice did I have? I couldn't stay in my cold, dead car, on the side of a deserted road. So, I grabbed my phone and my wallet, locked my car, and climbed into the cab of their truck. I sat in the middle, between the two of them. The inside of the truck was cluttered with tools, fast food wrappers, and smelled faintly of oil and stale cigarette smoke. As we started driving, the older man tried to make small talk, He asked where I was headed, what I was studying in college. I gave short, polite answers, my unease growing with every passing mile. The younger man just stared straight ahead, his knuckles white as he gripped the dashboard. The friendly chatter from the older man started to feel forced, like a performance. He was trying too hard to seem normal. We passed a sign that said Oak Creek, 5 miles. I figured that must be where their shop was. But then we drove right past the small cluster of buildings that made up the town of Oak Creek. My heart started to pound. "I thought your shop was in town," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The older man chuckled. "Oh, it's a little ways past it, out in the country. Lower overhead, you know." His explanation didn't reassure me at all. We turned off the main road onto a dark, unpaved dirt track that led deep into the woods. The truck bounced and jostled over the uneven ground. The trees closed in around us, their branches scratching against the windows like long, skeletal fingers. Now I was genuinely scared. There was no way a repair shop would be out here. "Where are we going?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. The older man's friendly mask dropped. His smile vanished, and his eyes turned cold. "Just a little further," he said, his tone flat and devoid of any warmth. The younger man finally spoke, his voice a strained whisper. "We shouldn't be doing this," he muttered, not looking at me, but at the older man. The older one shot him a furious glare. "Shut up," he snapped. That was it. I knew I was in serious danger. My mind raced, trying to think of a way out. The truck was old, with manual locks. I looked at the door handle next to me. The truck was moving slowly, maybe 10 or 15 miles per hour, because of the rough road. It was a crazy idea, but it was the only one I had. I decided I had to jump. I took a deep breath, and in one swift motion, I unlocked the door, yanked the handle, and threw myself out of the moving truck. I hit the ground hard, tumbling through dirt and thorny bushes. Pain shot through my shoulder and my side, but adrenaline surged through me. I scrambled to my feet and just ran. I didn't look back. I just ran blindly into the dark woods, crashing through undergrowth, ignoring the branches that whipped at my face and arms. I could hear the truck screech to a halt behind me. I heard shouting, and then the sound of footsteps crashing through the woods after me. "Get back here," the older man yelled. His voice was filled with a terrifying rage. I ran faster than I ever thought I could, fueled by pure terror. The sounds of pursuit seemed to be everywhere, and I was sure they were right behind me. I just kept running, deeper and deeper into the forest. I don't know how long I ran. It felt like an eternity. My lungs burned, my legs ached, and every part of my body was screaming in pain from the fall and the frantic escape. Eventually, the sounds of my pursuers faded. I risked a glance back, and saw nothing but darkness. I slowed to a walk, trying to be as quiet as possible. I was completely lost. I wandered through the woods for what felt like hours, shivering from the cold and the fear. My phone was still in my pocket, but it was cracked from the fall, and the single bar of service was long gone. Just when I was about to give up hope, I saw a faint light through the trees. I cautiously made my way towards it, and found a small, isolated house with a porch light on. I stumbled onto the porch and pounded on the door, praying someone was home. An elderly woman opened it, her eyes wide with shock at my disheveled appearance. I was covered in dirt, my clothes were torn, and I was bleeding from several cuts and scrapes. I must have looked like a wild animal. Through gasps and sobs, I managed to explain what had happened. She immediately let me in, locked the door behind me, and called the police. The police arrived quickly. I told them everything: the breakdown, the two men, the fake repair shop, the dirt road, my escape. They took me back to the main road to find my car. It was still there, exactly where I had left it. The tow hook was gone. They searched the area and found the dirt road I described. But they never found the two men, or their old pickup truck. It was as if they had vanished into the night. The officer who drove me to the nearest town to get my car towed properly told me that I was incredibly lucky. He said there had been a few disappearances in that rural area over the years, and they suspected a local ring was involved, but they never had enough evidence or a surviving witness. I was the first person to get away. I never drove that route again. For months, I had nightmares about the older man's cold eyes and the younger man's nervous silence. I still get a chill whenever I see an old pickup truck on a country road. I don't know what they had planned for me that night, and I'm grateful I never had to find out. That encounter taught me a harsh lesson. Sometimes, the kindest looking strangers are the ones you should fear the most. Always trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is.